Good morning and welcome to the Mobile Device Manager Plus training program. My name is Nirmit. I'm a product specialist at ManageEngine and I will be your trainer for today. I hope I'm audible and that you're able to view the presentation clearly. Please confirm by commenting on chat. I will wait for your confirmations. Now that I've got a few confirmations, I will move along with the presentation. This two-week training program has been designed to help you better understand the features and benefits of Mobile Device Manager Plus. We are in week 1 of the training, and today we will be dealing with app management and device security. For more information on this training schedule, please access the URL given below. Now, before we get to the agenda, if in case at any point during this training session, you have any queries regarding any of the features that are being discussed, feel free to post them on chat. We have a panel of experts on standby ready to answer all of your queries. So now, without any further ado, let's take a quick look at the agenda for today. We will be starting off with an overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus, understanding the product architecture and its prerequisites, before moving on to application management, where we will cover the entire app lifecycle management process and also explore the kiosk mode feature, which allows you to log corporate devices to specific apps. We will then move on to the device security features provided to you by Mobile Device Manager Plus, where we will first start off by understanding how you can track and remote troubleshoot corporate devices before exploring the containerization feature, which essentially segregate the personal and corporate workspace on end users' devices. Next up is OS update management, which allows you to control which versions of the OS should be running on your managed devices. After this, we will discuss the content management feature, which allows you to securely distribute sensitive business documents directly from your Mobile Device Manager Plus server and onto your managed devices. And finally, we will explore the security features that are provided by MDM, just in case one of your employees loses his or her devices. We will then explore and discuss a few scenarios that are commonly faced by organizations across the globe, along with the solutions to it, before ending this training session with a small Q&A segment. So let's kick things off with the overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus. Mobile Device Manager Plus offers support for phones and tablets across iOS, Android, and Windows operating systems. It is available as an add-on to the on-premises version of ManageEngine Desktop Central, which is a unified endpoint management solution from the stables of ManageEngine. It is also available as a standalone product, available both on-premises and on cloud. Here is the Mobile Device Manager Plus architecture. It has 3 major components: the MDM server, the push notification services, and the devices that need to be managed. The MDM server contacts the push notification services, which in turn wake up the devices. The devices then get in touch with the MDM server for further instructions. If in case you're worried about security and you do not wish to expose your MDM server to the internet, MDM provides you with an option wherein you can configure a secure gateway instead. This secure gateway will now act as an intermediary between your MDM server and the internet. You needn't worry about this if you're using the cloud version of the product. Now, as discussed earlier, there is a lot of communication that happens between the MDM server, the push notification services, and the devices that need to be managed. Now, in order to ensure secure and fast communication between all of these 3 major components, here is a list of ports that need to be kept open at all times. For example, for secure communication between the device and the Mobile Device Manager Plus server, the inbound port 9383 needs to be kept open. Similarly, The remaining ports also need to be kept open at all times. Now, it's important to note that some of these ports are applicable only for the on-premises version of the product. So how does MDM actually manage devices? In case of iOS and Windows devices, MDM leverages the native client present on these devices to manage them effectively. However, in the case of Android devices, you need to download an MDM app to ensure that your Android devices are managed properly. Now let me take you through a quick walkthrough of the MDM products console. As you can see, we are currently on the Home tab. This will give you a brief overview of everything that's happening in your IT organization as far as your mobile assets are concerned. You get a brief summary of all the devices in your organization based upon the device type, the platform type, and in addition to this, you can also see whether these devices are owned by your organization or whether they are personal devices owned by your end users. Also, you get a brief summary of all the blacklisted as well as whitelisted apps in your IT environment. Move over to the device management tab, and over here you have features such as your corporate security policies, application management, remote control, content management, OS updates, and conditional exchange access. Under the inventory tab, you will get more granular details regarding all the devices that are currently under the management of the MDM server. In addition to that, you also have features such as geo-tracking and the option to periodically schedule the scanning of devices for updated information. Move over to the enrollment tab, and over here to your left, you will find a list of all the enrollment methods supported by MDM across iOS, Android, and Windows operating systems. Now, under the Reports tab, you will find a set of predefined reports segregated based on application type, hardware type, enrollment, and security type. In addition to this, you also have the option to come up with your own custom reports. The Admin tab will have all the basic settings such as your NAT, proxy, mail server, user administration settings, security, and DB settings. And finally, under the Support tab, you will find links to your forums, blogs, as well as resources such as knowledge base, FAQs, and how-tos. Now, this brings us to our next segment, which is going to be on app management. First up, let's understand how you can install and manage business apps using the MDM server. So this is how app management works as far as MDM is concerned. The MDM server has an app repository which contains the repository of both your store apps as well as your enterprise apps. Store apps are those apps that are available for public download on the respective app stores, whereas enterprise apps are those in-house apps which are specific to your corporate. Using the MDM server, you can distribute both your store apps as well as your enterprise apps directly onto the respective managed devices. Now, when it comes to the installation of these apps on the devices, the store apps are installed by the respective app stores, whereas the installation of enterprise apps are taken care by the MDM server. Now, let me take you back to the MDM server and show you how you can add an app to the app repository, distribute it to a device, and also have it installed on it. Now, click on Device Management, select App Repository. Now, as you can see, this is your app repository that contains all the IT approved apps that have been added to the MDM server. Now, in order to add a new app, click on the Add App dropdown. And for this example, let's choose to add an Apple Store app. Now, enter the name of the app over here. As you can see, the MDM server is trying to connect to the App Store to get the details regarding this particular app. Now select this particular app, and the bundle identifier and the Apple Store ID are automatically pre-filled. To facilitate this communication, you need to whitelist the App Store on your corporate firewall. If in case you're based outside the United States, you can choose to change the region by clicking on the Change Region option and selecting the region to which you belong to. Now, here are a couple of interesting app policies that you need to pay close attention to. By clicking on this first policy, you can ensure that all the apps that have been distributed to your managed device gets removed automatically once the MDM profile is removed from the device. Also, the second option allows you to restrict the backup of app data on iTunes and iCloud services. In addition to this, MDM also provides you with an additional feature wherein you can manage the functionalities and capabilities of the app by uploading and modifying the app configuration file provided by the app developer. So this is essentially an XML configuration file that you need to upload over here. Once you're done configuring this information, click on Save, and the app gets automatically added to your app repository. Now you can filter out the apps based on the different store types that are available. So I'll be filtering out all the Apple Store apps over here. And as you can see, this is the app that we've recently added. Now, in order to distribute the app to devices, click on Groups and Devices and select the Devices option. Now, you can filter out all the iOS devices present in your environment. Select the device to which you want to distribute this particular app to. Click on the Actions dropdown and select Distribute Apps. Now, as you can see, these are all the apps that are available for distribution to this particular device. If in case you have a lot of apps present over here, you can filter out the requisite app based on the application type, the license type, as well as the category. You can also use it to look for the app that you want to distribute. So in this case, I want to distribute Zoho Creator. So I'll be selecting Zoho Creator, and under the distribution option, I'll be selecting the option Add to Device App Catalog. What this does is that once the app is distributed to the device, the end user will be able to find that app in the app catalog present on the any MDM app on the user's device itself. You also have another option called Install App Automatically. I will explain to you a little later in this webinar as to what this option actually does. So for now, click on Select, and as you can see, the Zoho Creator app has been distributed to the phone successfully. Now let us see what happens on the end user's device. The end users will have to open the MDM app and click on App Catalog. There, they will find a list of all the apps that have been distributed to their device and are yet to be installed. Upon clicking Install, they will be asked to verify themselves using their iTunes credentials. Upon successful verification, the app installation begins and the installation is complete. So this was the manual app installation process. In manual installation, every device must be provisioned with an iTunes account. Also, every single time you want to distribute and install an app on a device, user intervention is required to complete the app installation process. Now, what if your end users are non-technical? And what if you need to distribute apps to multiple devices? How do you tackle such a scenario? Because if your end users are non-technical, they will find it a bit tedious to keep constantly verifying their iTunes credentials. To tackle such a scenario, MDM has a couple of automatic app installation process. In case of iOS devices, you can make use of the volume purchase program, and in case of Android devices, you can make use of the Play for Work program. So what are the benefits of configuring VPP and Play for Work? By doing this, you can build your own enterprise app repository that consists only your IT approved apps, which of course includes both your store apps as well as your in-house apps. In addition to this, you can also restrict users from installing any other app from stores. Now let's take a closer look at the Apple volume purchase program. With the help of the iOS volume purchase program, you can whitelist and approve only those apps that are required by your organization. Also, you can manage these apps with the help of licenses that can be applied to devices and revoked as per your convenience. In addition to this, you also have the option to control app updates. Now, before we go ahead and configure the volume purchase program, here are a few prerequisites that need to be met. First up, you need to create an account with Apple VPP. And then you need to ensure that your iOS devices are supervised. To ensure supervision of iOS devices, you need to enroll these devices using either Apple Configurator or the Apple DEP enrollment options. Now, these enrollment options will be discussed in great detail in the upcoming week's training session. So here's how volume purchase program actually works. You need to integrate the VPP portal with your MDM server, purchase and approve apps on the VPP portal, and then distribute these apps to the devices. Once all of these actions have been performed by the admin, the apps get installed silently on the devices. So let me show you how the VPP portal actually looks like. As you can see, in the VPP portal, you can either choose to purchase apps for education purposes or for business purposes. For this example, I'll be choosing to go with the business option. Now click on the settings and select account summary. Here, you need to download a VPP token. Once you download the VPP token, you need to go back to your MDM server, click on App Repository, and select iOS VPP distribution. So I've already configured VPP with this MDM server, but for your benefit, I'll show you how it can be done on another server. So click on Device Management again, select App Repository, click on iOS VPP, select Configure Now, and click on Upload the VPP token option. I'm sorry, just give me one moment, please. So since I configured a few security settings earlier, I wasn't able to get this pop-up. But once you click on the upload option over here, you then need to upload the VPP token, which I'll be doing right now. And under app installation type, please be sure to ensure that you choose without Apple ID. It is only when you choose this option will the app get installed silently on the end user's devices without any need for the user to intervene. Also, it's important to note that this VPP token is valid only for 1 year, after which it expires. Now, to ensure that you get timely renewal notifications regarding the expiry of the VPP token, please provide the email ID of the person who is in charge of this renewal process. So once you're done configuring this information, this is how it would appear on the MDM server. Now you can go back to the VPP portal and start purchasing apps. So in the search bar, type in the name of the app that you want to purchase, which in this case is going to be Zoho CRM, and click on search. From the search listings given below, select the Zoho CRM option. Now, before you go ahead and specify the number of licenses that you want to purchase for Zoho CRM, you need to ensure that this app is marked as device assignable. To do that, scroll down, and over here, you'll find the option device assignable. It's only when the app is marked as device assignable will you be able to control the app updates. Now, I'll explain to you about the controlling of app updates a little later in the webinar. Now you can go ahead and specify the number of licenses that you want to purchase for this particular app. Click on review order and place order. Now go back to your MDM server. So the MDM server automatically syncs with your VPP portal once every 24 hours. And when that happens, all the apps that have been purchased on the VPP portal get automatically added to the app repository of the MDM server. However, if you want this app to be reflected immediately in the app repository, all you need to do is click on App Repository, select the Sync Apps dropdown, and click on Sync VPP Apps. What this does is it ensures that the MDM server manually syncs with the VPP portal, and all the apps that you purchased recently will get automatically added to the MDM server's app repository. So now that the manual sync is complete, you can go ahead and filter out all the Apple Store apps in the app repository. So now if you click on Zoho CRM, you'll get a lot of information such as the number of licenses that have been purchased, the number of licenses available, and the number of licenses that have already been associated to devices. Now, to distribute this app to multiple devices, click on Groups and Devices option, select Devices, and as explained earlier, filter out all the iOS devices. Now select all the iOS devices, click on the Actions drop-down, select Distribute Apps, select Zoho CRM, and under Distribution option, you need to ensure that the Install App Automatically option is chosen. It is only when you choose this option will the app get installed silently and automatically on the end user's device. Click on Select. Now, as you can see, the Zoho CRM app has been successfully distributed to all of these devices. Now, let's see what happens on the end user's device. As you can see, once the app is distributed to the end user's device, the app installation process is initiated automatically without any need for the end user to intervene and verify his or her iTunes credentials. And the app also gets installed successfully. Now, here's an important recommendation for you. If in case you're distributing an app that is over 100 MB, you should ensure that your device is connected to a Wi-Fi. Otherwise, what happens is this particular task or activity will eat into your end user's data plan. This is not an ideal situation for both you as well as your end user. So please be sure to follow this recommendation. Now, how can you control app updates? Before we take a look at that, let's first understand as to why should app updates be controlled. The latest version of the app may have certain patches for existing serious security issues. Also, it may also have patches for bugs and issues affecting productivity. In both of these cases, you need to ensure that the latest version of the app is immediately installed on all the managed devices in your organization. In addition to this, sometimes what happens is that the latest version of the app may have a few security vulnerabilities that might cause the app to function in a way in which you hadn't originally intended it to. In such a scenario, you want to restrict the users from installing the latest update, and you in turn can test out this update on a single device. And if you're satisfied with the functionality of the app, then you can go ahead and distribute the latest version to all the devices in your organization. Now, app updates in MDM can be controlled only if the apps are purchased via VPP and, as explained earlier, if they are marked as device assignable. Now, using this feature, you can restrict any update by users and also force any critical app updates without the need for the user to intervene. So as I explained earlier, the app should be marked as device assignable. What this does is that it ensures that the app is assigned to the end user's device as opposed to his or her iTunes account. This ensures that the App Store cannot contact the device regarding any app updates whatsoever. Now let me show you how you can force critical app updates with the help of the MDM server. So let's go back to the MDM server, and under device management, let's click on app repository. As you can see over here, anytime there is an app update available for any of the apps in the app repository of your MDM server, there will be a notification shown as can be seen over here. Click on this notification and this will give you a list of apps for which there are updates available. Now let's choose one particular app. As you can see, this app has been distributed to 3 devices. However, the latest version of this app is yet to be distributed and installed on a particular device. So click on this number over here and you get more granular information regarding the devices upon which the app has been distributed. As you can see, the app is yet to be updated in this particular iPhone. So click on the update option over here and be sure to choose install update automatically. This ensures that the latest version of the app is installed silently and automatically on the end user's device. Now, let's move on to Google Play for Work. As in the case of the BPP program, there are a few prerequisites for Play for Work as well. You first need to create an account with Google Play for Work and then ensure that the devices must be running Android 5.0 or later versions. So here's how Play for Work actually functions. You need to first integrate the Play for Work portal with your MDM server, purchase and approve apps in Play for Work, and then distribute apps to the devices. Once all of these actions have been performed by the admin, the apps will get installed silently on the devices. Now let's go back to the MDM server, click on App Repository, and select Android for Work. As you can see over here, the Android for Work is already being configured in this particular server, but as in the case of VPP, I'll explain to you how you can configure it right from the beginning on another server. So I'll click on Android for Work. Now you can register for this using a G Suite account if in case your organization has one, or you can also register using any Gmail account. Now it's important to note that if you're using a particular Gmail account, this account should be used only for corporate purposes. Once you click on register without G Suite, you'll be redirected to the Android for Work portal. Over here, you need to sign in with your Google credentials. Click on Get Started. And here you need to specify the name of your organization and also ensure that the EMM provider is listed as ManageEngine EMM. Once you've agreed to all the terms and conditions, click on Confirm and complete the registration. Now, once the configuration is complete, this is how it appears on your MDM server setup. Now you can go back to your Play for Work portal and start purchasing apps over there. So in the search bar, enter the name of the app that you want to purchase, which in this case is again going to be Zoho CRM. Click on Search, select Zoho CRM. Now click on Approve. As you can see, these are a list of permissions that you need to accept on behalf of your organization. Click on Approve and go back to the MDM server. As in the case of the BPP portal, the MDM server automatically syncs with the Play for Work portal as well once every 24 hours. And it is then that all the apps that have been purchased on the Play for Work portal get automatically added to the MDM server's app repository. However, if you want these apps to be reflected immediately, then you need to manually sync your MDM server with the Play for Work portal. To do that, click on App Repository, select the Sync Apps dropdown, and choose the option Sync Play Store Apps. As you can see now, all the apps that have been recently purchased on the Play for Work portal will get automatically added to your MDM server's app repository. Now let's filter out all the Play Store apps. Now let's choose any one of these Play Store apps. Now, as you can see, once you click on this app, you have an additional tab called Permissions. Over here, all you need to do is click on Modify, and now you can modify app permissions to restrict this particular app from accessing specific device resources. So I'll be doing just that. Once you're done with all of these configurations, you can click on Save. Now you can go ahead and distribute this app to multiple devices or groups. To do that, click on Groups and Devices. You can either distribute and associate this app to all the devices associated to a particular group over here, or you can filter out specific devices to which you want to distribute this app. So now I'll filter out the Android devices available. I'll select the devices to which I want to distribute this app to. Click on the Actions dropdown, select the Distribute Apps option. Now let's say I want to distribute the Zoho CRM app. Under the distribution option, I need to select Install App automatically to ensure that the app installation happens silently on the end user's device, and click on Select. That we selected earlier. Now let's see what happens on the end user's device. The end user will get a notification stating that a work account has been added, and as soon as the notification appears, the installation of the Zoho CRM app begins automatically. Now, once the Zoho CRM app has been installed, you can open the Zoho CRM app and click on the App Permissions option. As you can see, these are all the app permissions that we had configured earlier. Now, the end user has no option to reconfigure any of these permissions. Now, what if you also have in-house apps? Do you need a PPP account or Play for Work account for silent installation? No, absolutely not. If in case you want to silently install in-house apps, there is no need for you to have a VPP or a Play for Work account. However, there are a few prerequisites that need to be met. In case of iOS, devices must be supervised, and in case of Android, devices must either be Samsung devices or must be provisioned as device owner. So we'll explain in great detail as to how these devices can either be supervised in case of iOS and how these devices can be provisioned as device owner in case of Android in the next week's training session. Now let me take you to the MDM server and show you how you can add an enterprise app to the app repository and also distribute it to the devices. So let's go back to the MDM server and under device management, click on app repository. Select the add app dropdown. And for this example, let's choose to add an Android enterprise app. Now the first thing you need to do is to upload the source APK file. I'll be doing just that. So I have the source APK file over here and I'll upload it now. As you can see, upon successful upload, the bundle identifier and the app version get automatically filled. Give a meaningful name for this particular app. So this is a Z delivery app. Choose the category to which this particular app belongs to and the supported devices as well. Now you can go ahead and save this app and the app gets automatically added to the MDM server's app repository. Now as you can see, we have the Z delivery app over here. Now, how do you update an enterprise app? Because unlike a store app, you don't get any notifications like this one. It's simple. All you need to do is select the Z delivery app and under the actions button, click on modify app. Now remove the previous source APK file and upload the latest version. As you can see, once the latest version has been uploaded, the app version also changes from 1 to 2.0. Click on save and the app is now successfully updated. You can go ahead and distribute this app to any number of groups or devices that you want to. So as always, you can click on device, select any device that you want to distribute to, click on the actions drop-down, select distribute apps, select the Z delivery option, choose the install app automatically option and click on select. That's all that you need to do. Now, how can you whitelist specific apps on corporate devices? With the help of MDM's kiosk mode feature, you can now restrict devices to just a few specific apps according to your choice. As explained earlier, with the help of the kiosk mode feature, you can provision either a single app or multiple apps on a particular device and also configure device settings to ensure that the end user cannot reconfigure them later on. Now consider the following scenario. You have an organization with a logistics division, and in the logistics division, there is a supervisor and multiple drivers. Now the supervisor needs to assign trips using an app, which in this case is going to be the Z delivery app. And the driver uses two apps. One app to know the trips that have been assigned to him or her, and another app for navigation. Now let's see how you can tackle this particular scenario using the MDM server. So go back to your MDM server and under device management, click on profiles. Select create profile. And for this example, let's choose to create an Android profile. Give a meaningful name for this profile. Click on continue. And as you can see on your left, these are all the list of security profiles that are supported by MDM. Click on kiosk. Now let's first configure the kiosk profile for the supervisor. Now since the supervisor requires only one app, choose the single app option over here and specify the name of the app, which in this case is going to be Z delivery. In addition to this, you also have a few additional restrictions which you can configure, wherein either you can choose to allow or restrict access to task manager, status bar, and the volume power and back buttons. Once you configure all of this information, you can click on save and publish this profile. But before you publish it, let me show you how you can also configure the kiosk mode for the driver who requires 2 apps. So now select the multiple app option. Now the driver requires 2 apps. One, the Z delivery app, and another app for navigation. So he'll probably be requiring a Google Maps app. In addition to that, you also have the option to configure your own wallpaper on the end user's device. All you need to do is upload a file over here. You can also choose to either allow or restrict the MeMDM app on the end user's device. And in addition to all the restrictions that we discussed earlier, there are a few additional custom settings as well, wherein you can choose to allow or revoke access to the following settings such as Wi-Fi, flashlight, brightness, and screen rotation. Now, once you're done with all the configurations, click on Save and publish the profile. Now, to distribute this profile to multiple devices or groups, click on the Groups and Devices option. Now, in this case, I want to associate this profile to all the drivers in my organization. So I'll be choosing the drivers department. Click on the Actions dropdown, select the Associate Profile option. Now, these are all the profiles that are available for distribution. So this is the profile that we created. Select the profile and click on Select. Now, as you can see, this particular kiosk profile has been associated successfully with the driver's devices. Now, let's see what happens on the end user's device. In case of the supervisor's device, the supervisor requires this access to the Z Delivery app, so he will have no option to navigate anywhere outside this app. And in the case of the driver's device, the driver will have access only to the Z Delivery app as well as the Google Maps app. The drivers will have no option to navigate anywhere outside this. Now, what if the supervisor needs to know all the locations traversed by the driver over a period of time? With the help of MDM's geo-tracking feature, this is now possible. Let me show you how you can configure geo-tracking on your MDM server. So click on Inventory and select geo-tracking. Now you can track devices always, or you also have the option of tracking them only when they're marked as lost. I'll explain to you how to mark a device as lost a little later in the webinar. In addition to this, you can also apply geo-tracking for all the devices or just for a few specific groups. So you can browse through all the groups that you've created and choose to apply geo-tracking to just a few specific groups. In addition to that, you can also choose to save all the locations traversed by this particular device by enabling the location history option and also choosing the distance upon moving, or rather if I'm going to choose the 500 meters option over here, what it actually means is that every time the device moves 500 meters, the location gets automatically saved. Now it's important to note that saving locations over shorter distances may affect the performance of the battery. Now click on Save Changes and select OK. Select Devices. Now let's assume that you want to track the location of this particular device. All you need to do is click on the device. So this will give you in-depth information about this particular device, including the network information, the SIM information, the apps that have been installed on it, the certificates that have been associated with it, and the security restrictions that have been configured on it. Now to view the location of this particular device, click on geo-tracking. This will give you the current location of the device. As you can see, this is the current location of the device. In addition to this, you can also view the location history. All you need to do is click on the location history option. And as you can see, these are all the places, or rather locations, where the devices traverse since July 24th till July 26th. Now, what do you usually do if there are issues in any corporate device? And also, what would you do if the device is outside the organization organization with field workers. The field worker could be a non-technical worker like your driver, who would find it very difficult to resolve this issue by himself or herself. With the help of MDM's remote control feature, you can now troubleshoot the devices remotely. So go back to your MDM server, click on device management, select the remote control option. Now let's assume that you want to troubleshoot this particular device remotely. All you need to do is click on remote control and select start. As you can see, MDM opens a new window. Now MDM at the backend leverages ZoAssist, a free remote troubleshooting software, to establish this remote session. And as you can see, the remote session is now successfully established. Now you can go ahead and troubleshoot this device, because now you can easily navigate through this device using your own console itself. In addition to that, you also have the option of using chat commands. So these short and chat commands will help you with the navigation and troubleshooting of your devices. Once you're done with the remote troubleshooting, you can go ahead and close this window. Now, how can you protect against data breaches and ensure compliance? Data breaches can occur when there is unauthorized data transfer between a managed device and an unmanaged device, either through Wi-Fi, AirDrop, or Bluetooth. Data breaches can also occur when data gets backed up in an unauthorized manner to third-party cloud services such as Dropbox, Drive, etc. And data breaches can also occur when there is unauthorized data transfer between corporate and personal devices. Now, the answer to all of this is, of course, containerization. Containerization essentially segregates the personal and corporate workspace on your end user's devices, thus ensuring security to the corporate workspace while also guaranteeing privacy to the personal workspace. In case of Android device, a corporate container gets automatically created once the device is enrolled into the MDM server, and all the corporate apps will be denoted by the small briefcase symbol, as you can see over here. However, in the case of iOS devices, Apple does not permit the creation of such a container. So there is actually no segregation between the personal apps as well as the corporate apps. This can be a problem, especially when you consider the following scenario. Now, when you try to access, say, for example, your corporate email attachment, it can be opened using both your corporate apps as well as your personal apps. This is not an ideal situation for you to be in. Now, let's see how MDM helps you resolve this particular issue. So go back to your MDM server, and under device management, click on profiles. For this example, let's choose to create an iOS profile. Give a meaningful name to the profile and click on continue. Now select restrictions, and the first thing you need to restrict is camera, screenshots, and screen recording, because this is one of the most easiest ways in which data can be leaked from one phone, or rather one device, to another. You can also restrict AirDrop. Now select security, and over here you have the option to restrict the sharing of data from managed apps to unmanaged apps, and vice versa as well. Click on advanced security, and over here you can also restrict USB connections. Select network and roaming to restrict Bluetooth. Now once you're done configuring all of this information, as always, save this profile, publish it, and distribute it to any number of devices that you want. Now let's see what happens on the device once this particular profile has been distributed and associated to it. As you can see now, when you try to access your corporate email attachments, you will no longer be able to access it using your personal apps. It's only your corporate apps that will be able to have access to these attachments. Now let's move on to the next segment, which is content management. With the help of the content management feature, you can now seamlessly and securely distribute your business sensitive documents directly from your MDM server and onto your managed devices. By doing this, users can only view and save the documents using only the ME-MDM app present on their device. Also, this document cannot be backed up to third-party cloud services. Now consider the following scenario, where your sales team needs access to confidential documents prior to an important client meeting. How do you ensure that your sales team get these documents on time and on their devices? Let me take you back to the MDM server and show you how this is done. Under Device Management, click on the Content Management option. This is your content repository, which consists a list of all the corporate business sensitive documents that have already been added. To add a new document, click on the Add option over here. Now, these are all the file formats that are supported by MDM. You need to ensure that the maximum file size does not exceed 300 MB. Now, to add a document, all you need to do is click here, select the document that you want to add, and as you can see, it gets automatically added to the content repository. You can add a description to this particular document, and you can also associate it to any particular group or department that you've already created. So I'll be associating this with the sales department and click on Done. As you can see now, this document now appears in your content repository. In order to distribute this document to multiple devices, all you need to do is select this document and click on the Share option. Now, since it was the sales department that had requested this document, I'm going to go ahead and distribute it to all the devices that fall under the sales department. So select the sales department and click on Select. As you can see, the documents are now successfully distributed. So let's see what happens on the end user's device once the documents are distributed. The end users will first have to open the ME-MDM app present on the device and then click on the Documents tab. Over there, they will find a list of all the documents that have been distributed to the device. They first need to download this document, and once the document is downloaded, it can also be viewed offline using the ME-MDM app. Now, consider the following scenario. There are a few changes to the terms and conditions in the document that was just distributed to the sales department. How do you update this document on the end user's device on time? This is a very simple process. Let me take you back to the MDM server. Now, since it was this document that was distributed, and now there are a few changes in this document, if in case you want to modify this, all you need to do is click on this particular option, and under the Actions button, click the Modify option over here. Now remove the previous file and upload the latest version. So I'm updating the latest version over here and click on Modify. Now select OK. As you can see, the document is not only successfully modified in the content repository, but it is also automatically updated in all the devices to which it was earlier distributed to. So as you can see, there is no need for you to redistribute the updated document again. Now let's move on to automating OS updates. Let's first understand what are the disadvantages of running outdated OS versions in your environment. First up, you'll be missing out on critical security patches. Now I'm sure most of us have heard of the recent Spectre and Meltdown vulnerabilities, which caused a lot of havoc across a lot of computers, right? But what a lot of people don't realize was that a specific set of iOS and Android devices were also affected. To tackle this effectively, both Apple and Google released the latest OS versions with the security patches. And once these security patches were updated on the devices, they were safe from these vulnerabilities. Also, in case of older OS versions, they tend to get slower with time. Now, we saw the disadvantages. Now let's also see what are the pitfalls when it comes to simultaneous updates of, say, or rather simultaneous OS updates across all the devices in your IT environment. First up, if in case the users are working on something important and you push the updates on an ad hoc basis, the productivity is going to take a hit. Also, If in case you have any enterprise apps and you push this particular update without testing it on a device on all the apps to be precise, there might be a few enterprise apps that may not be compatible with the latest OS update. Also, when the OS update happens simultaneously, it will ultimately lead to bandwidth choking. Now, the answer to all of this is, of course, to schedule and automate OS updates. The advantages of this is that it is just a one-time setup in MDM, and you also have the options for immediate delay and window deployment of OS updates. In addition to that, the user can also get notified of any pending updates, and if in case they are working on any important task, they have the option of skipping the updates. Now I'll take you back to the MDM server and show you how you can configure this. As always, under the device management tab, click on automate OS updates. Now click on create a policy, and for this example, let's choose to create an Android policy. Give a meaningful name to this. Now, as you can see, you can choose to deploy OS on devices either immediately or after a delay of a few days. In addition to this, you also have the option, as discussed earlier, to notify users regarding updates with a custom message. And if in case the users are working on anything important, you can also give them the option to skip deployment. But of course, you have the option to force the deployment after a specific set of days. So for this example, I'll choose 3. You can also schedule the OS deployment using the option given over here. Once you're done configuring these profiles, click on Save. Now, if in case you want to distribute any of these profiles to devices, all you need to do is select the device, select the policy, click on Distribute Policy, select the devices to which you want to distribute this policy to. You can test it out on a single device first. Click on Select, and as you can see, this particular OS update policy has been successfully associated and distributed to the Android device. Now, how do you secure devices if it either gets misplaced, lost, or stolen? Once something like that happens, the corporate data on such a device is at huge security risk. Now, let me take you some of the options provided by MDM that help you mitigate this security risk. Click on Inventory. Now let's assume that this device has been either misplaced or stolen. The first thing to do is to find the current location of the device. Now, if in case the device is somewhere within your vicinity, you can click on the Actions drop-down and select the Remote Alarm option. What this does is that it ensures that the device emits a loud ringtone irrespective of whether it is in silent mode or not. This will help you easily identify the device if it is in your vicinity. However, if this device is far away, then the first thing you need to do is to restrict this device. You can do that by enabling the lost mode option as given over here. Once you enable this option, the device will be restricted to just one particular screen, and you can configure message to be displayed over there. In addition to that, it also has a calling functionality wherein you can program the phone to contact just one particular number that you enter over here. Click on Next, and you can also reset a passcode. Now, in addition to that, for auditing purposes, once a device has been reported as lost or stolen, a ticket would have been generated. Now specify the ticket ID over here and also the course of action that has been taken. Now click on Locate, and the lost mode will get automatically initiated on the device. Let's see what happens on the device once lost mode is activated. As you can see, the device will be restricted to just this one particular screen. There will be no option for anyone to navigate anywhere out of this particular screen, and the message can be displayed stating that this device has been lost and kindly hand it over to a particular organization. You also have a calling functionality as explained earlier, which can be programmed to contact just this particular number, wherein you can have your office number displayed over here. Now, if in case the device is stolen and you haven't managed to find it even after a few days, the first priority should be to secure the data on it. Now, if it is a corporate device, then you can perform the complete wipe option, which essentially wipes out all the data on the device, thus restoring it to factory settings. If in case this is a device that is owned by your end user, then you can choose for the corporate wipe option, which only wipes out the corporate data on the end user's device and leaves the personal data completely untouched. Now let's discuss a few scenarios commonly faced by organizations across the world, along with the solutions to it. Scenario 1. Is there a way by which I can remove apps previously available in the devices? These are the apps that were not installed using MDM. Yes, this is possible. Let's go back to the MDM server. Now under the Inventory tab, click on Apps. Now select Settings. And as you can see, you have an option wherein you can choose to even manage those apps that have been pre-installed with the OS. And you can also choose what sort of action that you need to take on blacklisted apps. As you can see, you have the option to either disable the app or to uninstall the app. You can also notify the administrator regarding any blacklisted apps that have been identified in your IT environment. Now click on Save. Scenario 2. My organization has provided full internet access and no restriction on any web resource to the employees. How can I restrict specific websites without affecting the usual internet activity? I'll show you how this is done using the MDM server. Click on the device management option, select profiles, and for this example, let's choose to go with an Apple profile. As always, give a meaningful name to the profile. Now, over here, you need to choose the option Web Content Filter. Now, since in this scenario, you wanted to blacklist specific URLs, select the option Blacklist and specify the URL that you want to blacklist, which in this case is going to be youtube.com. As always, save, publish, and distribute this profile to any number of devices. Once the profile is associated to a device, the users will no longer be able to access YouTube through their browsers. In addition to this, you also have another option wherein you can choose to whitelist specific URLs. Now, for example, I'll be choosing to whitelist zoho.com. And once you save, publish, and distribute this profile to multiple devices, the users of these devices will not be able to access any other URL apart from zoho.com. Let's move on to the next scenario. As my workforce is extensively mobile only, we want to secure devices with certificates. Can this be done using Mobile Device Manager Plus? Yes, of course. Let me show you how this can be done. Now I'll be using the same profile that I've created earlier. So this is an iOS profile. And as you can see, you have an option called certificate. With this option, all you need to do is to upload a certificate over here, which I've done. And now you can secure all the devices using just a single certificate. Now click on Save, Publish, and distribute it to all the managed devices in your IT environment. However, if in case you want to secure each and every device with an individual certificate, select the option SCEP, configure the SCEP server details, save, publish, and distribute this profile, and every single device will be secured with the help of individual certificates. Scenario 4. I want to ensure all the network communication taking place on the device is routed through a secure proxy. Can this be done? Yes, this is possible. So again, I'll be using the same profile that I created earlier. So you have an option called Global HTTP Proxy. Now, all you need to do is enter your proxy server details over here. And as always, save, publish, and distribute this profile. Now, any sort of network communication that happens on the device will always be routed through the secure proxy that you configure over here. Now, this brings us to the final segment, where we'll be discussing a few questions that are asked during the course of this training session. One of our employees has forgotten his passcode and is now unable to use the device. Can MDM help me with this? Yes, it's possible. So click on Inventory. I'll be opening it on a new tab. Select the device. Click on the Actions dropdown. And as you can see, you have the option to reset the passcode. Once you reset the new passcode, you can also have the passcode sent to the device owner. Now, the next question. We are a logistics company and we provide Android devices to our drivers for tracking purposes. Is there a way by which the users cannot disable the location services and it is always enabled? Yes, this is possible. So this example was of that of an Android device. So we'll have to create an Android profile now. So click on Profiles, create an Android profile, give a meaningful name and click on Continue. Click on Restrictions and select Location Settings. As you can see over here, you can ensure that your location services are always on. As always, save, publish and distribute this profile to multiple devices that you want to. The next question. Does MDM let me share contact details, calendar events to iOS devices over the air? Yes, it does. So now create an iOS profile. Give a meaningful name. Click on Continue. Scroll down a bit and click on Contact Sync. So as you can see, this allows you to sync all vital contacts on the managed devices using your CardDAV account details, which you need to configure over here. Once you've configured the information, click on Save. Next up, click on Calendar Sync. Now, this allows you to sync all your calendar events, tasks, and schedules on the managed devices using your CalDAV account details, which again you need to configure over here. Once you're done configuring all of this information, click on Save, Publish, and distribute the profile. The next question. I want to ensure that the IT approved apps installed using MDM must not be removed by the users. Is it possible? Yes, it's most certainly possible. Let me show you how. Click on Restrictions, select Applications, and as you can see over here, as long as the iOS devices are supervised, you can restrict the users from deleting the apps that have been distributed on their devices. Now, as always, click on Save, Publish, and distribute the profile. The next question. I want to ensure employee devices are connected to only those secure Wi-Fi networks distributed via MDM. Can this be achieved? Yes, this also can be achieved using Mobile Device Manager Plus. Now I'll be using the same profile as earlier. So click on Network and Roaming now under Restrictions. And over here, you have an option wherein you can ensure that the device connect only to those Wi-Fi that have been distributed via MDM. So enable this option, click on Save, Publish, and distribute this profile. This brings us to the end of today's training session. You'll have a small survey that pops up on your GoToWebinar panel. Kindly rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. Also, if you found this training useful, do spread a word about it on the various social media channels. The next training session is going to be on device enrollment and provisioning, and that will happen on August 2nd at the same time. Thank you.